So today I'm talking about a Nissan with the P0441 code, what it is, and how you go about fixing it. So what is a Nissan P0441 code? Well, it's an evaporative emission control system incorrect purge flow. And what does this mean? Well, modern cars have an evap system that helps contain all the gas vapors from escaping into the atmosphere. They get sent back to the engine and get burnt off. And the onboard computer is seeing a problem with this. So have to be troubleshooted to know why. And what are some possible causes? Well, it could be a fuel cap, could be a purge valve, could be the charcoal canister or vent valve, could be a pressure sensor, could be in the wiring, and possibly an evap leak. And so the first thing to do when you get this code is to go check the gas cap. Since the evap system needs to be inside of a vacuum in order to work properly, and the gas cap is a part of this, so if it's not sealing correctly, there could be an issue. So go and check it, be sure it's not cracked or damaged or anything like this, and that it's sealing good, since it can cause issues if it's not sealing. And one thing to mention, that if you do replace it, be sure to get an OEM original gas cap, since third-party aftermarket gas caps can sometimes cause issues. So it's always a good idea to get the original gas cap for your particular Nissan. And so if the gas cap looks good, then there's going to be a few components to go and check inside of the evap system. And basically what's going on is you're going to have a hose that's leaving the gas tank and it's carrying the gas vapors up to a charcoal canister. And this helps hold the gas vapors when the engine's not running, along with some other things. And there's also going to be a vent valve somewhere close to it. Sometimes they could be combined with the charcoal canister, and sometimes they could be separate. But it's going to be there somewhere. It's called a vent valve solenoid. And then the hoses leave from here, and they go up to the top of the engine to the purge valve. And what this does is it just opens when the engine's running, so the gas vapors go into the engine. And then when the engine's off, it closes so no gas vapors escape. So the next thing to do would be to go examine this purge valve, which would be located up on top of the engine somewhere, and it'll have two hoses going to it and a wiring harness. And be sure to check the wiring, be sure it's plugged in good, that there's no bad connections or anything like that, because any bad connections, any open shorts, anything like this can cause the same issues as a bad solenoid. So you want to check that out and be sure that's good. And check these hoses, be sure that they're connected good, there's no opens or cracks or anything like that. And the purge valve can be tested. There's different ways you go about doing that if you wanted to. Some people would just replace it, but you can't test it if you wanted to. And one thing to keep in mind is that it's on a fuse, so if it's not getting no power, then check for a blown fuse, since a blown fuse would cause issues. And so if you check out the purge valve and that all looks good, there's no issues there, then the next thing to go and check out is going to be the charcoal canister and the vent valve solenoid. And this is going to be located up and underneath the vehicle near the gas tank somewhere. Again, it could vary depending on the year and the model, but it'll be up and underneath by the gas tank. And what you can do is go check all these hoses, be sure they look like they're connected good, be sure the wiring all looks like it's connected good. And this right here is the vent valve on this particular one. And the vent valve is a common failure inside of the evap system. If you have a good OBD2 scan tool, they often have an option in there where you can turn it on and off and you can listen and hear if it clicks or not. If you don't have a good OBD2 scan tool, then there's other ways you go about testing it if you wanted to. But the next thing to go and check is going to be this charcoal canister. Be sure there's no leaks going on, and this vent valve solenoid. And so if that all looks good and you're not having no issues with the purge valve solenoid, you check those, tested those, the vent valve and the charcoal canister, then very likely there's going to be a leak somewhere inside of the system. If you took it to a mechanic, what they would do is they'd take a smoke machine and they'd feed smoke into the system, and then wherever the smoke came out at, they know that was a leak, and then they'd fix it. Now you very likely aren't going to have a smoke machine, but what you can do is just go back through to all the hoses and double check and be sure they're not cracked, there's no cuts in them or anything like this, that they're connected good, and that there's no leaks going on, because a leak in the evap system is a common problem and can cause issues. And so the last thing going to be to check is going to be the pressure sensor, and this can be located differently. Sometimes it's located on the fuel pump, and then sometimes it's located over by the charcoal canister. Again, it's going to vary depending on the year and the model of the Nissan, but there's a sensor inside of there that monitors what's going on inside of the system, and if it goes bad, it might be reporting back to the onboard computer that there's an error inside of the evap system when there's not. And so that's something to keep in mind, is that if the pressure sensor failed, then it might be reporting back bad data to the onboard computer. And so that's basically it. I just want to give a real quick brief overview of how you go about fixing a Nissan with the P0441 code. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.